Democrats now push Tim Walz. Good morning, Kuhner country. Okay, it was Tampon Tim's night last night. The Marxist from Minnesota. He was in the spotlight. He gave the keynote speech. Obviously, everything is now being set up for the official coronation of Comrade Kamala tonight. And what's incredible about what we've been watching now, really for the last 3 nights, last night in particular, is the Democrats' determination to pretend, literally pretend, that Kamala Harris has not been vice president for the last 3.5 years, that she has no record, no policies, that she's done basically nothing. They've wiped her slate clean. And last night, they did the exact same thing with Tampon Tim. They sent him out there, and suddenly, this wasn't radical leftist Tim Walz. This wasn't the man who allowed Minneapolis to burn in the summer of 2020. This wasn't the man who bent the knee to BLM rioters, actually stood in front of them and went on his knee and bent to them. This is not the man who allowed crime to explode all across his state. This is not the man who openly praised and cheered on communist China for the last 30 years. No. It was a different Tim Walz. This was public school teacher Walz, Coach Walz, Hunter Walz, Ordinary Joe Timmy, Ordinary Tim Walz. And according to him, this election is like a football game. The Harris-Walz team, the Democrats, are down. It's the fourth quarter, but they're only down by a field goal, according to Tampon Tim. And they have the ball, and it's late in the game. Roll cut 1, Mike.
You know, you might not know it, but I haven't given a lot of big speeches like this. But I have given a lot of pep talks. So let me finish with this, team. It's the fourth quarter. We're down a field goal, but we're on offense and we've got the ball. We're driving down the field. And boy, do we have the right team.
I mean, that was basically the gist of his entire speech. It was a biography, obviously a puffed up biography full of lies and half-truths and manipulations, and a football analogy. And the whole campaign, in fact, the 2 words they use again and again, it's their buzzwords, hope and joy. It's a campaign of hope and joy that Harris and Walz will deliver a presidency of hope and joy. And obviously the politics of hope is taken straight from the dear leader, from Barack Hussein Obama. In fact, to show you how much Obama is now completely running the show, his campaign team, his entire campaign team, has now taken over the entire Harris campaign. So all of these former Obama staffers, from campaign managers to campaign directors to communications directors to media outreach to messaging to across the board, this is Obama Redux all over again. This is 2008, 2012, all over again, except substitute Comrade Kamala for the dear leader, Barack Obama. That's it. Literally, that's it. And so it's all this vague, happy talk without any concrete policies whatsoever. What's incredible is you watch this now. Now, this is his big, he's accepting the vice presidential nomination for the Democrat Party. Outside of abortion, There's no substance to anything this guy said yesterday. They're radicals on abortion. They're crystal clear on that. But outside of that, on policy, you have no idea what they stand for. Everything now is just sort of, we'll bring down inflation. How? I don't know. They just say they're going to bring down inflation. We're going to bring down the cost of housing. How? I don't know. We're just going to do it. We're going to bring down crime. How? They're just going to do it. We're going to secure the border. Really? So how? They don't say. Even though they have been responsible for all of these policies, it's as if Kamala Harris has been gone, as if she was kidnapped by aliens and been abducted and now was held in some kind of a spaceship in outer space for the last 3.5 years. It's as if she owns nothing over the border. It's as if she owns nothing over inflation. It's as if she owns nothing over crime. It's as if she owns nothing over Afghanistan. While for 3.5 years, she claimed she was Biden's co-president, and Biden said she was his co-president. So it's all of a sudden now, she's the outsider, she's the change agent, she's the fresh face, when in fact, she's been around and she's responsible for the entire mess that we're in. But it doesn't matter. This is all Hollywood political theater because it's a football game. That's what they're trying to convince the convention, and that's what they're trying to convince the country. So there's Waltz, Communist Tim. There he is, China Tim, and it's the fourth quarter. Listen to him. Roll cut 1A, Mike.
Kamala Harris is tough. Kamala Harris is experienced, and Kamala Harris is ready. Our job for everyone watching is to get in the trenches and do the blocking and tackling. 1 inch at a time, 1 yard at a time, 1 phone call at a time, 1 door knock at a time, 1 $5 donation at a time.
one stolen vote at a time. 1 fraudulent manufactured ballot at a time. I mean, that's what he really should be saying. Now, look, I don't like to pick on children. I really don't. I don't like to pick on the kids of candidates. But what they did last night, what the media did last night regarding the children of Tim Waltz and his crazy moonbat wife, Gwen. Remember, his wife, Gwen, is the one who said in an interview, we played the cut, we can play it again, how when Minneapolis was burning during the summer of 2020, when Antifa and Black Lives Matter terrorist thugs were burning down the police precinct, were destroying shops, businesses, homes, murdering police officers, assaulting civilians, torching cars, it was entire parts of the city going up in smoke. She kept the window open, as she put it, so she could breathe the change in the air, so she could smell what the riots felt like, this revolutionary fervor that she said now is taking hold, not just in Minnesota, but across the country. These are the kinds of sickos, psychopaths that Waltz and his wife are. Well, as Waltz is delivering his speech last night, I don't know if his son had too much Mountain Dew. I don't know if he had too much Coke or Diet Coke or soda or caffeine but he starts going nuts. And the kid starts crying, sobbing uncontrollably. And he keeps pointing to his father, but he's talking to his sister. His sister's right beside him. And he's crying and he's pointing to his sister. And all he keeps saying is, that's my dad. That's my dad up there. That's my dad. And people are kind of looking like, duh. Well, yeah. I assume your sister would know who her father is. And there's CNN and MSNBC, and they're like, oh, his son is crying. He's crying. And then the daughter's crying. And then the wife is crying. Oh, he has everybody in tears. And I'm like, what are you talking about? His son is so over-caffeinated. Seriously. This is so over the top. And his own family they can't recognize their own father? And you're expecting us to, the propaganda, we've fallen in love with the Waltz family. No, we haven't. We're running from the Waltz family. We're petrified of the Waltz family. The last thing you want is to turn America into a giant Minneapolis or a giant Minnesota. But he's now Coach Waltz. He's now your friend, your neighbor Waltz. He's school teacher Waltz. They're trying to turn him into this lovable, fuzzy little teddy bear. Do you buy it? Did it work? 6:19, actually 6:20 now on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, look, it was disgusting. I'm sorry, but there's just no other way to put it. The way the media used the Waltz family, his son in particular, and tried to have us sympathize with the Waltz agenda by, exploiting the image of that boy constantly saying, that's my dad, that's my dad. It's really on every level. It's just really disgusting. And how the Democrats now are completely remaking this man. So let's hear, this is the real Tim Waltz. He has gone to communist China over 30 times. He literally taught for a year in communist China. They only allow you to teach in communist China if you are a believer in the regime and a believer in Marxism-Leninism. You are not allowed to anyone who's a non-communist is not allowed. You're prohibited from teaching or educating Chinese children. And this is a man, forget that his own people that worked with him have said, no, he was an avowed Marxist and an avowed Maoist. A huge admirer of Mao Zedong, who, by the way, murdered about 60 million Chinese. If you just look by the numbers, Mao was the greatest mass murderer in the history of the world. He murdered more than Stalin. He murdered more than Hitler. He murdered more than, I don't care, pick your dictator, pick your genocidal monster. And this is the guy this guy admires. Now, as for communism, don't even take my word for it. This is Tim Waltz in his own words. So what he really is he is the Democrat nominee for China. The Chinese own him, lock, stock, and barrel, and he believes in Chinese communism, lock, stock, and barrel. Now, this is Waltz when he came back from teaching in communist China. Here's what he said, quote, that he supports Chinese communism, and he says the reason why he loves communism, his words, quote, everyone is the same, and everyone shares. The doctor and the construction worker make the same. The Chinese government and the place they work for provide housing and 14 kilograms, or about 30 pounds of rice per month. They get food and housing. And he went on and on and on. And by the way, he dished out this Chinese or Beijing, pro-Beijing propaganda. This was after the Tiananmen Square massacre in 1989. So you can't even claim, well, I didn't know this is a brutal regime. I didn't know they run people over with tanks if you dare to oppose them. No. This is after they slaughtered them on live television, seen all over the world. And he still comes back and says, what a glorious regime. Oh, they take care of you. They feed you. They house you. They clothe you. But the party owns you. But that's okay. And you get your 30 pounds of rice. So what are you complaining about? And everybody's the same. Everybody makes the same. The hamburger flipper, the brain surgeon, everybody makes the same money. Now, from this, and the guy who basically cheered on when is the biggest city in his state, remember, he was the governor, is burned to the ground. And from this, he's Coach Waltz. He's your lovable, fuzzy, teddy bear neighbor next door. The school teacher. The guy, he just loves kids. He just loves kids. By the way, look, assistant coaches are great. I don't want you to think I'm denigrating an assistant coach because I'm not. But they're acting like this guy's the second coming of Bill Belichick or Vince Lombardi. Yeah, they're like, he led his team to a state championship. He was the assistant coach. He wasn't the actual head coach. He was the assistant coach. That's number one. Number two, many of you may not know this. Several years ago, Ashton was on his team, his school's basketball team. And they said, Daddy, we don't have anybody to coach us. If we don't have a coach, we can't play. So I said, okay, you need a basketball coach? I'll coach. I played in high school. That's about the extent of my experience. And I don't mean I was the assistant coach. No, I was the co-head coach. Me and another guy. We were the two head coaches. Now, do I walk around, seriously, don't call me Kuhner, call me Coach Kuhner. Do I walk around saying, well, hey, I coached my son's basketball team. I coached them. I'm ready to be president on day one. I mean, the insanity of all of this. Now, as a Republican analyst, Scott Jennings, I can't believe CNN let him say it, but he actually did say it during one of their panels, and you can tell they were thunderstruck. And I think Scott Jennings hit the nail on the head. He said, fine, they can make all these speeches they want, and they can rewrite Kamala's past and rewrite Tim Walz's past and try to pass these people off as just ordinary, moderate, centrist Democrats. By the way, they're all patriotic now. Suddenly they all love America. Have you noticed that? For 4 days of the year. Then they love America. After that or before that, not so much. But let that go. You would think that they're not the party in power. Who has controlled the White House for the last 12 of the last 16 years? It's been the Democrats. Kamala Harris, as I said, has been in the White House the last 3.5 years. Yet they're going on about all these problems affecting the country, and they're acting as if it's all Trump's fault. How can it be Trump's fault? You guys have been running the country for almost the last 16 years. Hello? I swear, I've seen a lot of conventions, but I've never seen anything like this. 6:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer, 617-266-6868. Okay. To finish the Coach Waltz analogy. So, listen to him. They're going to win. It's in the fourth quarter. He admits that his team is down. So the Democrats are behind. He says by 3 points, fourth quarter, but they've got the ball now. They're on offense. Everybody's got to start tackling, balking. In other words, make that phone call, knock on the door, give this $5 donation. By the way, you would never know that they're owned by Wall Street. The Democratic Party is owned completely by Wall Street and Hollywood. That the wealthiest elites completely support the Democrat Party. They're bankrolling Kamala, bankrolling Waltz. By the way, the communist Chinese are also bankrolling Waltz, but let that go, okay? So, but no, this whole, we'll take $5 donations. They don't give a damn about your $5 donations. They're taking their money from Soros, from Bill Gates, from Bezos, from Zuckerberg. I could go on and on. Okay? From Goldman Sachs, from major Hollywood actors and producers. They're not interested in $5 donations. They're interested in $5 million donations. Okay. But as I like to say, let that go. Waltz now says they're driving downfield and they're going to score the winning touchdown come November 5th. Roll cut 1B, Mike.
We got 76 days. That's nothing. There'll be time to sleep when you're dead. We're going to leave it on the field. That's how we'll keep moving forward. That's how we'll turn the page on Donald Trump. That's how we'll build a country where workers come first. Healthcare and housing are human rights. And the government stays the hell out of your bedroom.
That last one is abortion. That's pretty much all they have. But if you just look, if you listen again, I could play cut after cut after cut. I don't want to waste your time because really it's gibberish. Okay, it's nonsense. Notice they're not really saying anything. It's just, they keep saying, well, we want an America where no child goes hungry. Well, what have you been doing for the last 4 years? You've had the presidency again for 12 of the last 16 years. So, they keep acting as if this is all the Republicans' fault. Again and again, it's blame Trump, blame the Republicans. Well, who's been running the country? You have. So, it's after a while, you have to ask yourselves, how come they haven't been able to fix all these problems they claim are afflicting the entire country? If all these children are going hungry, what have you done about it? Nothing. In fact, you've prioritized illegal aliens over our children. That's a fact. So who caused the skyrocketing inflation? You did. Who caused the border invasion? You did. Who caused the runaway interest rates, the record high interest rates? You did. Who's the one that saddled our generation after generation now with $36 trillion in debt? You did. Who are you kidding? The crime wave. Who started that? That was you. That's all on you. Here, to show you how bad things are in Minnesota, you can't make this up. So now they're going to bring down crime. The party that gave us crime, in fact, the two people that gave us tremendous amounts of crime, Kamala and this clown, the Marxist from Minnesota, Tampon Tim, here, this is his Minnesota. And if you don't believe, you can look it up. If you don't believe me, look it up. In Bloomington, Minnesota, this is under Tim Waltz. There's no bail. It's like New York City. They are so soft on criminals. Not only has it led to an explosion in homicides, murders, rapes, carjackings, burglaries, you name it. This is how bad the situation is. Police were called to a mall in Bloomington. And when they went to that mall, obviously somebody was breaking into a store and he was stealing. So they arrested him. The police officer, one of them was stayed behind, and he was taking the report from the owner about this was stolen and that was stolen and how this person broke in. Long story short, they take him back to the police station. This criminal. He's released. He then goes back to the very same mall in Bloomington, the very same store. And guess what? The police officer that was there from the first burglary taking the report was still there taking the report. And the guy he got released from the police station so fast and then went back to the scene of the crime so fast that they had to rearrest him a second time for hitting that store because they let him out that fast. The original police officer was still there taking down the report from the first burglary. And they called him like, guys, are you serious? He's back. What do you mean he's back? We just let him out. I've only been here 15 minutes. How the hell can this guy get processed and released so quick? That's Tim Waltz's Minnesota. You can't make this stuff up. And instead, look at how he's bamboozling these idiots in the convention. Really? It's the fourth quarter, and we're moving the ball down the field. And we're all blockers and tacklers. We're part of a team. Oh, my God. And you believe this? You're going to swallow this garbage? Now, I want to play one more cut, and then I want to open up the phone lines. 617-266-6868 is the number. Look how he portrays Republicans. And this is, to me, the very scary thing about what the Democrats are now doing. This is what he says Republicans stand for. And this is not him. This is Obama. And these are the power brokers in the Democratic Party who wrote this speech for him. Roll cut to B, Mike.
When Republicans use the word freedom, they mean that the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. Corporations free to pollute your air and water. And banks free to take advantage of customers. But when we Democrats talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make a better life for yourself and the people that you love. Freedom to make your own health care decisions. And yeah, your kids' freedom to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the hall.
So basically now Republicans are school shooters. So, okay, it's not just Hitler and fascists and dictators and threats to democracy and threats to America and political terrorists. No. Now we're mass school shooters. You see, now Republicans just sit around and all we want to do is shoot up schools. And when we hear about a school shooting, we're like, yeah, kill more of our kids. Yeah. This guy's an idiot. No, really. Like, who believes this garbage? You know, they want polluted water. Well, yeah, listen here. Here it is. Here. I got a bottle of water. And I have a couple of small bottles of water, so I drink regularly throughout the show. Keep my, my throat, my mouth moist as I talk. It's polluted. Look at, I can't tell you how polluted this water is. The more dark and polluted it is, the more it's filled with toxic chemicals. I love it. Oh, I love it. Oh, I love polluted water. Lie after lie after lie. Slander after slander after slander. You watch this convention, you watch this speech on every level, whether it's the way they're trying to present Kamala now and portray her and this guy, Tampon Tim, the Minnesota Marxist, or the way they're portraying Republicans, or the way they're portraying the country, or the way they're portraying the fact that they've had nothing to do with anything for the last couple of years. It's as if there's something called inflation they had nothing to do with, or crime, or the border. Nothing is their fault. You're watching an alternative universe. They're living in a parallel fantasy universe. Your calls next. 6:50 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, a couple lines are open if you want to jump on. 617-266-6868. You can also text us 70470, 70470, and it's already burning up. Okay, this is from 781. Jeff, my chickens get quote-unquote food and housing too all summer. But I get their eggs, and in the fall, they're in my freezer. And that's communism in China. The Chinese Communist Party are the farmers. The people are the poultry. Or in this, I guess, the chickens. That's the Harris Tampon Tim plan for us. But replace the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, with the Democrat Party. Bingo. Bingo. And that goes to Waltz's infamous comment about how when he spent a year in communist China after Tiananmen Square and was allowed to teach there. And, of course, you have to be a communist to teach there. And he said, oh, communism, Chinese style is magnificent. The Communist Party takes care of you. Everybody is equal. The construction worker makes the same money as a doctor. Everybody's given food. Everybody's given housing. And they give you 30 pounds of rice every single month. So, that's him basically saying, hey, the Communist Party takes care of all your basic needs. Now, they own you. They control you. But hey, it's basically a form of slavery. But Tim Waltz, it's worth the exchange. It's worth the deal. You sell your soul and your body and your freedom, and they give you the basic necessities of life. Okay, one more, and then I want to go to the phone line. This is from 603. Jeff, remember, if the situation was hopeless, the Democrats' propaganda would not be necessary. And what we've been seeing now for 3 straight days and nights is relentless propaganda at the DNC. And just look at Elon Musk's poll results yesterday on X, and it proves everything we need to know. So, apparently Elon Musk had what he calls an unscientific or a super unscientific poll. And so he just asked his followers, who will you vote for? Trump or Kamala? Well, 74% Trump, 26% Kamala. And that's with over 5 million votes cast. So if you look at by Elon's poll, now again, he says it's an unscientific poll, but still, Elon, believe me, most of his followers are independents. Elon is a moderate Democrat. I know he's supporting Trump this election cycle, but Elon is no conservative. He's no far right winger. He's no Republican. I'll tell you this. And the most people who follow him are the same. And Trump is destroying Kamala Harris. 617-266-6868 is the number. Have you watched any of the convention? Did you watch any of it last night? Did you hear Tampon Tim's speech? And do you buy this sudden transformation and makeover of a Minnesota Marxist who bowed to Black Lives Matter and allowed his city to be burned to the ground? And now they've transformed him into a school teacher and to Coach Waltz. He's now just your next door neighbor friendly coach. Do you buy the transformation? And do you think the American people will buy it? Bob in Plymouth. You're going to kick us off, Bob. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Good morning, Coach. Thanks for taking my call. From now on, you're Coach Kuhner in my book.
Oh, I love that. If all of you could call me Coach Kuhner, I swear that'd be great.
There you go. Hey, Jeff, I don't watch the Democrat thing, but, you can tell a person that's a phony by their body movements. If this guy pats his heart one more time, I'm going to puke. He keeps doing that over and over and over. He's such a fraud, this guy. My God. Ugh.
Oh, Bob, you're completely right. I mean, everything about him is fraudulent. Everything. Now, we all know about the stolen valor, right? We know that he claimed he was in a war zone when he wasn't, that he claimed he was deployed to Afghanistan when he wasn't, that he served in Iraq when he didn't, that he was carrying these, weapons of war in battle, which is a complete lie. But I don't know if you've heard the latest. So he's trying now to attack J.D. Vance on the issue of in vitro fertilization, IVF. And so he says, well, all our children are IVF. We know what it is to have IVF children. We wouldn't have our children if it wasn't for IVF. And his wife comes out and says, well, no, that's not true. We never used in vitro fertilization. Ever. So he's caught in a bald-faced lie. But listen to this, Bob. Even when his own wife, the one who loves the smell of burning tires and really of businesses being burned to the ground, can you smell the revolution and the change in the air? Okay. Even his whack job wife says, no, we never had in vitro fertilization. I'm sorry, Tim doesn't know what he's talking about. Listen to this. This was him. This was him just yesterday in a speech. Even when he lies and he's caught lying, he can't stop lying. Roll cut 2, my bad. Roll cut 2, Mike.
In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. And even if we wouldn't make those same choices for ourselves, we've got a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. And that includes IVF and fertility treatments. And this is personal for Gwen and I.
This guy's unbelievable. He's a pathological liar. He lies about things he has no need to lie about. And so everything about him is a monstrous lie. Everything. From the smallest to the biggest things. That's what everybody in Minnesota says about him. And they go, let me tell you what the biggest lie is. He portrays himself as this lovable coach, as this wonderful neighborly guy who wears flannel shirts and, basically like a Santa Claus. Like your next door neighbor who's Santa Claus. He's the most nastiest. He's the most vicious. He is the most vindictive person you'll ever meet. This is the guy, Bob. This is the guy who ordered state police to fire paintballs at Minnesota residents if they were outside on their porch after their lockdown that he imposed at 8 p.m., the curfew. He put armored personnel carriers. There's all these video now coming out. Armored personnel carriers patrolling the streets of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Bloomington, Rochester, all these cities, monitoring people in their neighborhoods if they are outside their home or outside their porch during the lockdown. That's the kind of guy Tim Walz is. In fact, I just want to play this and get your reaction, Bob. Okay? This is your lovable coach to everybody out there. This is a hearing, Minnesota State Senate, on the Black Lives Matter rioting that destroyed entire parts of Minneapolis, St. Paul. By the way, the Twin Cities have never recovered. They've never recovered. And in particular, when they descended on the 3rd Police Precinct, and they burnt that thing to the ground. Police officers assaulted, sent to the hospital, some with broken bones, others blinded, and none of them were held accountable. Nobody went to jail. And they stood by, they were told to stand down and let the mob take over the police station, the precinct, and they torched it, and the whole thing was razed to the ground. Listen now to Sergeant Anna Hedberg, Officer Rich Walker, on what Walz did during that incredible attack on the city of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Roll cut 9D, Mike.
To watch them go through that was so heartbreaking. To know that they could have died because we were not allowed to respond the way that we have been trained to respond. I heard the governor say, give it up. It wasn't directly to me, it was through a phone call. How the governor says, give up the precinct. I mean, that's demoralizing for this whole state.
I've never been more broken as a police officer than I was to watch our leaders give up on our home.
Last night, he's for law and order. I'm not kidding. He and Kamala, they're crime fighters now. Last night and in the last couple nights, now they're going to be tough on the border. And now they're going to bring crime down. And now they're going to restore law and order on the streets. So the people who created the problem, who are part of the problem, who turned a blind eye to the problem, who've been waging a nonstop war against the police. Walz defunded the police in Minnesota. In large parts of Minneapolis, St. Paul, Bob, there are no police whatsoever. It's pure anarchy. People can't even sell their homes. It's so crime-ridden. They're just fleeing and abandoning their homes. Kamala Harris, who in 2020 paid for the Minnesota bail fund that released convicted sex offenders and rapists and went on to rape again. It's a matter of fact. Murderers who went on to murder again. It's a fact. So Walz allowed Minneapolis to burn, and then Kamala made sure that they were put back out on the streets. And at the time, 2020, when she told everybody, kick into the Minnesota Freedom Fund, to donate to the Minnesota Freedom Fund. And now, these two shysters, these two cons and frauds, turn around and say, oh, we're tough on crime. Oh, crime's out of control. We're going to bring it down. Coach Walz, Prosecutor Kamala, that's what we do. And these lemmings at the convention are jumping up and down. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bob, if the American people buy this, then I'm telling you, there is no hope for this country. I mean, then really, the low information voter, the stupid voter, is now running our country. I mean, you know, it's called idiocracy, ruled by idiots. And that's what, if these two win, I'm telling you, that's what America has descended into. Am I wrong, Bob?
Question for you. What self-respecting cop would shoot paintballs at innocent people at their home? I wouldn't do it if I was in a police department. Would you?
No.
Did the cops do it?
Oh, yeah. If you want, I can play with the audio. Can we get the audio, Sandy, if you can dig it up? Bob, we have it. I played it before. I'll play it again. And I can play you many cuts. I'm just going to play you one where you hear them on the bullhorn saying, go inside, go in. It was like 8:06 in the evening. The curfew kicks in at 8 o'clock. Again, they're outside in their own home on their own porch. And it's Minnesota, so the homes are, you know, this is parts more on the outskirts of, say, Minneapolis, St. Paul. So the homes are quite far away from each other. You know,
this is...
Get in your house now! Let's go! Light him up! Go inside now! Get in the house!
Get in, get in, get in, get in, get in, get in! Get in!
I don't know if you heard one of the police officers, light them up, light them up. They're in their own home, on their own porches, breathing air outside, fresh air. Who are they hurting? And you got to see the visual. Don't take my word for it. It's everywhere. The next home is like 40, 50 feet away. This is Minnesota. The homes are very far apart. So how are you going to catch COVID? From what? Breathing air outside at 8? So at 7:59 p.m., you're not going to catch COVID. But at 8 o'clock p.m., if I'm outside and breathing, I'm going to give people COVID. I'm going to transmit COVID. This man is a dictator. That's why he went to communist China. That's why he loves that regime in Beijing. He gets off on this. Everybody said he loved the authoritarian lockdowns. He loved going after innocent law-abiding citizens. He loved this. Personnel carriers on the streets, ordering police to shoot residents and citizens on the porch with paintballs. So, Bob, yeah, you're right. To me, I don't understand a police officer that would do that. And look at him, taking such glee. Here, I'll play it one more time and get your reaction, Bob. Look at how, I mean, it's not just that they're doing it, reluctantly. Look at them. They're doing it with zest. They love it. Roll it again, please.
this is...
Get in your house now! Let's go! Light him up!
Light them up.
Go inside now! Get in the house!
There you go. That's the real Tim Walz. Now, if he did that to his own citizens in Minnesota, what do you think him and Kamala are going to do to us? And I'll say it now, and I'll say it again. Okay, I said it before, forgive me, and I'll say it again. The next time it's going to be rubber bullets. And then the next time, if they win in November, I'm telling you, it's going to be live ammo. Because both of them are totalitarian thugs. Both of them. And both of them hate us that much. Final word to you, Bob.
Well, the whole situation is so scary and un-American. I don't know what to say any longer. It just, what else are they going to do? You know, they got nothing to be proud of over the last 3.5 years.
And hence the lying. Hence this massive deception, propaganda, manipulation campaign. That's what we've been seeing now for 3 nights in a row. Bob, thank you for that call very much. I don't recognize these two people, Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, what they're turning them into. And the people of Minnesota are speaking out, to their credit. They go, this guy the media is creating and the DNC is creating, that's not the governor that we've known now for the last 2 terms. We don't know this guy. You just created somebody out of thin air. Pure image, pure style. No truth to any of what they're presenting out there. Chris in Marblehead. Thanks for holding, Chris, and welcome.
For the last 2 terms.
Chris, you're on the air. Chris, are you there?
Here, you hear me?
Go ahead, Chris.
I'm just blown away that we can't understand that the virus doesn't live outside. How in the world did Fauci get us to believe that? I mean, we shut down our beaches, we shut down our playgrounds, we shut down every place that kids and people could have fun, and here we are where this guy's lying to us, saying that he's going to actually shoot people with paintballs. I just can't believe that actually happened. And somehow we need our Democrat wackos to figure out how to do real fact-checking, because they seem to think that everything they say is truth.
Well, Chris, they did. You're right. Everything what you said is true. But they did even much worse than that. They closed down churches. You know, I mean, we're talking about freedom of religion now. You know, I mean, you may not be a religious person, and I understand that. But you have to understand, for a religious person, you're talking about one's soul. You know, for religious, faithful people, there's nothing more important than one's soul. They're talking about eternal life. No, they shut that down. No problem. Look what they did to our kids in the schools. They shut down the schools, and now all of these studies are coming out. The evidence is irrefutable. It's a mountain of evidence. We have damaged our children for an entire generation. Psychologically, mental illness, anxiety, even literally their IQ, because so many of them were held behind by being told to stay at home. And now we know, and they knew at the time even, that COVID did not affect children nowhere near the same level as it did, say, the elderly. That for whatever reason, children were very resilient towards COVID. Almost none of them died. Many of them were able to weather the virus quite easily. It was just basically a cold. They made up the 6 feet in social distancing. They made that up. Fauci admitted under oath, well, no, we just made that up. So it was just, no, we just made it up. It could have been 3 feet. It could have been 2 feet. It could have been 8 feet. We just picked 6 out of thin air. Well, you have to keep the desks 6 feet apart, remember? So that's when they said, well, we have to close the schools, because you can't say there's 30 kids in a classroom. You can't put 6 feet distance between each desk. There's not enough physical space. So we have to close the schools. And look what it did to our children. Their mental development, their expression, their ability to speak, the ability to socialize. When you're very young, you read people's faces, you read people's eyes. They covered them up in masks, and then they just sent them home. I mean, I could go on and on. You know, just objectively, okay? You know, we read about the Japanese-American internment camps during World War II in this country, and we say, oh my God, how could this have happened? Or we read about lynchings in the South, and we go, how could this have happened? Or we read about, say, you know, atrocities and other, Holocaust is the most extreme example, but, you know, people put in concentration camps or death camps, or look what they did to us just a couple of years ago. It was the greatest mass violation of civil liberties in the history of the United States. And it was all based on a pack of lies. And it was these power-hungry politicians like Tim Walz and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden who used it to amass tremendous power to oppress us. 720 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Mark in Chelmsford. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, Mark.
The reason I was calling was when you were talking about Tampon Tim talking about allocation of food and stuff like that to each family. I think it's per family, not per individual, per month kind of thing. So,
yeah, that's right. The 30 pounds of rice that he says they give out in China, yeah, it's for the family.
Right. And my understanding is a family is usually a male and a female and one child. I don't know if they've changed that recently because they have a population issue, but, they're only allocated one child per family. So that means each person has 10 pounds of rice per month is the way to actually look at it, which is almost starvation.
It's not a lot of rice. No, I agree with you, Mark.
It really isn't. And whatever they can grow and hide from the government is what else they can use. But I just wanted to make that kind of point. And of course, him acting the way he acted with his state is exactly what he saw happen at Tiananmen Square, except he didn't kill anyone that we know of.
Well, Mark, I think the $64,000 question, do you think if he was given more power, because, remember, he was then the governor of Minnesota. The Republicans for a while had a slight, very, very razor-thin majority. I think it was a one-vote majority, but still, they did have control of the Minnesota State Senate. So there was some check and balance on him. But if we put him as vice president with portfolio after portfolio after portfolio, backed fully by communist China, and what's amazing, Mark, Beijing is open about how they're supporting Tim Walz. They want a Kamala Harris, Tim Walz regime. They've said it. They're interfering in our election to stop Donald Trump. And they go, we don't just want Trump to lose. We really want Walz, because they see him as a comrade. They see him as one of their own. Do you think that if he has this kind of power, vice president is, it's not president, but still, it's a very powerful position, that maybe he will start to order Tiananmen Square style massacres and repressions against people who oppose, let's say, the regime, should they win in November?
Well, from my point of view, I got a funny feeling the answer will be yes, but I think it will be staged, different levels at different time. If there's any kind of, riot, let's call it, that is not what they want for a riot, they'll send in excessive force, like the concept of paintballs and rubber bullets, like you said. And eventually they're hoping for one of theirs to die so that they have to be more stern, in quotes.
I agree. Mark, I think you've laid it out beautifully. That was his version of Tiananmen Square. You're going to stand up against me? I ordered a repressive lockdown. You're going to stay on your porch after 8 o'clock? So this was I think at 8:06. It was 6 minutes after 8 o'clock in the evening. And that's when the paintball started flying. And again, I can play it again, but if you hear the police, light them up, light them up, light them up. So what do you think if this guy, God forbid, is vice president of the United States with Comrade Kamala at the head? Ay, ay, ay. Mark, thank you for that call. Mags in New Hampshire. Thanks for holding, Mags, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff, and as always, thank you for taking my call, darling.
My pleasure, Mags.
Hey, so I, can't stand the Democrats. And I did watch Obama. And I want you to know, in my opinion, because I listen every day to you, in my opinion, he was so angry the way he came off. Do you agree or not?
You're talking about Barack Obama, not Michelle Obama.
Yeah, I'm talking about, insane. Yeah, Barack insane. Yes, insane, yes.
He came across as angry, nasty. That joke about Trump's package, it's a family show, so I have to be careful how I phrase this, was to me disgusting, vile, and vulgar. Look, this is not the Barack Obama that we saw, during his presidency. This is now the real Barack. The real him is now coming out.
So the way I feel about everything is I totally, the last caller, all of this scares me. Communism, socialism scares the hell out of me, Jeff. And I have great nieces and nephews that I will not allow this country to be taken over like that. I won't. And I know there's plenty of patriots that are listening to me right now that will not either. Okay? And the only thing that they have is cheating. And you know that they're scared to death because the way they're acting. Because they know Donald Trump has it in control, and actually God is the one that has it in control, which you know as well as I do is going to be the winner in the end. Even when they try to cheat, because we all know they're going to try to cheat. But what I called basically to say was, I listened all day yesterday, obviously, to you, and I hope that Trump was listening, because your callers are the best in the country. And what they said about him going off on people and doing that, he can't do that.
Mags, can you hang on? Please, I want to have you finish that thought on the other side. Plus, the Kuhner man has an important announcement as well. So you don't want to miss it. Hang on. We'll be back in a couple minutes. Don't touch that dial. 7:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. Before I go right back to Mags in New Hampshire, big announcement for everybody at 8:45 today. So in about an hour and 12 minutes, we are going to have Jay Valentine on. Many of you may say, Jeff, who the hell is, you mean, what, the manager? No. Jay Valentine is an election fraud expert. In fact, he's one of the country's leading experts on rampant voter fraud and election corruption. He's got a magnificent column on Substack. He also writes for the American Thinker, and he is trying to warn the Trump team that Kamala and the Democrats are going to steal the election in November, and he's got the proof, the evidence to show it, to prove it. So he will be on at 8:45 today. Tell your friends, tell your family members, it's must listen to radio. Jay Valentine is going to reveal and expose exactly how the Democrats are going to try to cheat and steal it this November. So let's go right back to Mags in New Hampshire. Mags, you were making that very point yourself, that's your one big concern, is that the Democrats now putting up Kamala, Comrade Kamala, Tampon Tim. Clearly, they have no record to run on, no agenda. We don't even know what they stand for anymore because they've been flip-flopping on issue after issue. That this is now Trump's election to lose. And the only way he can lose it now is if they steal it. Mags, please pick up where you left off.
So I think that I honestly believe that Trump has things under control with the cheating part, but I think they're still going to cheat. They're going to cheat to the max. They're going to try to do every single thing, even when Trump wins, because I'm 100%. I feel so positive that Trump is going to win, and I feel like after RFK and his running mate possible endorsement, which I believe that is going to happen, I think that hands down Trump has it. He just needs to keep his mouth shut and not attack them, because guess what? They're doing all the damage to themselves, Jeff. They stand for nothing. They have nothing. When they're saying things about Wall saying about China and 30 pounds of rice, people are now listening to this. People are waking up. I was in Vermont yesterday, Jeff. You know what the bumper sticker biggest one I saw was? I'm a RFK Democrat. These people are realizing that these are communistic socialists, and they have no room for them. And I think that what Trump has done has put in design that these people have to be shown, because people aren't that bright. Just listening is not going to wake them up. Seeing is believing. I mean, you're still going to have morons, because we're always going to have morons that are going to think these people are so great. But I honestly think Trump has this hands down if he stays on point. And I think he's going to, because guess what? He wants this as bad as we do, because nobody wants to live in a communistic, socialized country unless you're a moron. God bless you, Jeff. God bless America. God bless Trump and all the listening people out there.
Thank you so much, and God bless you, Mags. You're right about Trump, and in fact, he's got even an extra incentive, and he knows better than anybody. He loses this election, they're going to put him behind bars. I mean, they are going to bury him, his business, his entire family. So if for him, it's almost a matter of life and death. And he's campaigning like it's a matter of life and death. 617-266-6868. Okay, it's the Kuhner Country poll question of the day, sponsored by Mario's. Mario's Quality Roofing, Siding, and Windows. So, I want to ask all of you, okay? Now that Tim Walz is no longer Governor Walz, he's Coach Walz. Suddenly now, if you're Tim Walz, he's just a coach. The lovable coach. That's how everybody has to refer to him now as Coach Walz. Okay. Well, Jeff Kuhner, i.e. me, the Kuhner man, I coached my son's Ashton's basketball team for a year. Do I get now to be called Coach Kuhner, the way Tim Walz is now being called by the media and everybody as Coach Walz? I mean, what the hell? If it's good enough for him, is it good enough for me? A, yes. B, no. Should I now be known as Coach Kuhner? I want to hear from you. You can vote on our webpage, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhn as in national ER, wrko.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. In fact, as I'm telling you this right now, CNN has got a whole segment on Walz, and his Coach Walz, in quotations, delivers energetic pep talk as he accepts VP nomination. So the media now is just he's Coach Walz. He's your friendly next door neighbor school teacher coach. Huh? He's not the Minnesota Marxist. No. He's not CCCP Tim. No. He's not CCP Tim. No. Forget that. China Tim is out. Lockdown Tim is out. Black Lives Matter Tim is out. Minneapolis burning Tim is out. It's Coach Walz. It's Coach. You can also vote on X. My handle there at the Kuhner Report, all one word. Kuhn as in national ER. Mel in New York. Thanks for holding, Mel, and welcome.
Yes, good morning.
Hi, Mel.
Watch it. Oh, yes, good morning, Jeff. I just got a horse here. He's acting up a little bit. Anyway, yes, Jeff.
Well, Mel, I mean, I'm just curious. How come you're calling me Jeff? Why aren't you calling me Coach Kuhner?
Hey, Coach Kuhner. I'm just like, anything you got to just use the opposite of whatever they say. So anyway.
I mean, don't you know I coached sixth graders for 3 months, almost an entire season, Mel. And unlike Walz, I wasn't an assistant coach; I was the co-head coach. Why aren't you calling me Coach Kuhner there, Mel?
All right, that's it, Coach. I'm sorry. Forgive me. You take this guy Walz. he's like the one guy that's around the racetrack all the time that's giving up tips, and and anything he gives you bet the total opposite, and you will win. So what this guy here, this Walz guy, he's talking about how the Republicans want to take away your freedom, want to take away your personal rights. So I mean, it's obvious. Whatever these guys are talking about, you believe the total opposite. I'll go back to that analogy again. Here's a guy. You go around. There's a 9-horse field in a race. You got 9 horses. He'll go to 9 different people and give them each a different horse. So here, obviously, somebody's going to win. So he'll come back to you looking for a cut. Whoever got the one horse. And these are the communists. That's how they operate. It's sickening. But
so Mel, I take it you weren't impressed with the coach's speech last night. Then Coach Waltz didn't do it for you last night.
I haven't watched a single second of this, what they call the DNC convention. I call it the Democrat National Catastrophe. They suck, I'll tell you, man. It's the Democrat Party. And those who back these people, they've got to be communists themselves. They're not just total idiots. They have an agenda. They have a communist agenda. Whoever's, the ones that even my neighbors, I'm surrounded by liberals, and I'm sure, a good part of them are going to vote for Kamala Harris because they don't have any objectives, any common sense or any way to read between the lines and see what you're going to get when it's all said and done. They're just idiots. They're party idiots, useful idiots by the Democrat Party because they're going to be abused just like the rest of us are if they steal it. And they've got the Oval Office, they got the White House. That's Jeff, like I said before yesterday.
Oh, you're right. Look, Mel, you're dead on. Look, if they steal this in November, all these idiot liberals out there, do it. You know what? It's going to hurt you as much as it's going to hurt us. I don't know what you think you're gaining from all this. Nothing. 749 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, just another quick heads up. We're going to have Jay Valentine on, one of the country's leading election fraud experts, one of the best in the business. He'll be on at 8:45, so just about 55 minutes from now. You don't want to miss it. And just to let you know, he now believes that the Democrats are going to steal the election in November. He thinks now that they are rigging it. He's trying to warn the Trump team to be very careful because the steal is on. And Jay is now very concerned that they're going to potentially pull it off. So you're going to want to listen to this. It's must listen to radio. 617-266-6868. Okay, very quickly. I want to play this cut one more time. Just one more time and get your reaction because I think it sums everything up absolutely perfectly. Roll cut 2B, Mike.
When Republicans use the word freedom, they mean that the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. Corporations free to pollute your air and water. And banks free to take advantage of customers. But when we Democrats talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make a better life for yourself and the people that you love. Freedom to make your own health care decisions. And yeah, your kids' freedom to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the hall.
When did Republicans, and especially Trump supporters, I want my children to be shot in the hall? No, really. I'm today's the day. My son, my daughter, my Ashton, my Ava, they'll be mowed down. They'll be shot down in a hail of bullets. Well, we're drinking polluted water. Who believes this garbage? And then this is the same, by the way, and this is their supposed hope and joy campaign. That's all it is. It's hope and joy, hope and joy, hope and joy. Where's the hope? Where's the joy? And then he goes on about, mind your own damn business. That's the golden rule. Mind your own damn business. Really? So, and in this cut, he's going on about we have the right to make our own healthcare decisions. Really? Really? How about the vaccine, tampon Tim? Who pushed the vaccine mandate in Minnesota? You did. Who pushed the vaccine mandate on the entire country? It was Biden and Harris. The mask mandate, you did. The mask mandate across the entire country, Biden and Harris. Who pushed the lockdowns? You did. Who pushed the lockdowns? Biden and Harris. I mean, I could go on and on. So you wanted to put an experimental medication, an experimental jab into the arms of every single Minnesotan and Biden and Harris and every single American, violate our bodily autonomy, our healthcare right to choose for our own bodies. You didn't mind your own business then, did you, Tim? How about when you unleashed your Gestapo, the state police, to fire paintballs at residents because they violated your dinky, ridiculous, by the way, unlawful and illegal curfew, may I add, and shot them up on their own front porches? Tell me, what about minding your own damn business then, Tim? How about when you can see the videos, personnel carriers, like a war zone. Stay in your homes with the loudspeaker. Stay in your homes or else we'll shoot. Stay in your homes. And if they entered on their porch or went on their backyards or whatever, boom, 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 boom. Paintball after paintball after paintball. How about the businesses, the countless businesses that you bankrupted in the state of Minnesota because they didn't want to take the job or because you closed them down arbitrarily? You let the big box chains who lined your pockets, they could stay open, huh? But no, not the small businesses. Suddenly then it wasn't mind your own damn business, was it, Tim? Suddenly it wasn't my body, my choice, Tim? You phony, you fraud, you. Now, I want to play one last cut. One last cut. I normally don't quote CNN. As you know, I don't. But sometimes even a stop clock is right twice a day. This is Scott Jennings. He's a Republican. He's one of the few Republicans they have on their panels. And you can't see the visual of this, but there's David Axelrod and there's other the silver-haired guys, Anderson Cooper, and they looked utterly thunderstruck. They you could see their jaws, just hit the floor because they had no rebuttal to what Scott Jennings said about the convention and about the campaign overall. Roll cut 20, Mike.
And you don't have to demonize anybody except for Donald Trump to get there.
Well, I agree with you that there could be an agreement to try to make institutions work. It's just that the people in charge of the institutions right now are the people in this room. I mean, Democrats are in the White House, and our public institutions have lost a lot of faith since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have come along. And again, we're having another night where we're sort of pretending that she's not at the center of it.
He's completely right. For the last 16 years, 12 of those 16 years, Democrats have occupied the White House. They've controlled for most of that time the House, and for most of that time the Senate. So they've basically been running the country for the last 16 years, with the exception of the Trump interregnum. And you know what they tried to do to Trump for those entire 4 years of his presidency. It was just they unleashed holy hell on him and paralyzed him and blocked him and crippled him and sabotaged him and undermined him every step of the way. So they're acting. You watch this whole convention and you would think, well, the Republicans have been running the country for the last 16 years. Nothing is their fault. It's somebody else's fault. It's all Trump's fault, the Republicans' fault, or it's just out there, like as if they had nothing to do with it. Now, if the American people are I don't think they are. I'm speaking from the heart. I don't think they're that stupid. Far from it. I think in a free and fair election, I think Donald Trump destroys Kamala Harris. I think there's no question. But let's just say I'm wrong, okay? I don't think I am, but let's just say I'm wrong. What does this say about the American people? You don't know that she was vice president for the last 3.5 years? You don't know that she was the border czar? You don't know that she was responsible for the border and immigration? That was literally her portfolio given to her by Joey? Do I have to play the cuts over and over again? Where she said she was part of the decision to withdraw from Afghanistan? And that she praised his debacle, that disaster, repeatedly? Do I have to play the cuts of her bragging about casting the tie-breaking votes on the two biggest spending bills? One of them that encoded the Green New Deal that led to the massive inflation that has destroyed our country over the last 3.5 years. She owns the inflation crisis. She owns the border. She owns Afghanistan. She owns the massive skyrocketing crime. She's the one who supported Black Lives Matter. She was the biggest supporter of defund the police. Hell, she pushed people to give money to a bail fund that got the rioters out of prison. Like who? Hello? You don't have to read a paper. Just vaguely follow the news and you'll know exactly. And how do you go from the most unpopular vice president just 2 months ago, the most unpopular vice president in American history, whose ratings were even lower than Biden's? They were in the toilet. And all of a sudden now she's hope and change? All of a sudden now she's hope and joy? All of a sudden now she's reinventing Kamala, reimagining Kamala. All of a sudden now she's a border hawk. All of a sudden now she's for law and order. All of a sudden now she's a working gal who understands the plight of the working people. And I'm going to bring inflation down and housing down and rents down and groceries down and gas down. And suddenly she's a girl from not a girl from the projects. They're not going that far, but a girl from the working class. As her parents were one of the wealthiest professionals in the country, where she grew up in Montreal, Canada, in the most expensive zip code in the entire country, Westmount. And all of this now is out the window? Now, I got to say this. If the Democrats can pull this off, then really I tip my hat off to the devil. Because this is a propaganda snow job that Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's minister of propaganda, would be proud of. He could only dream of doing this. But that's what they're doing. And so my question to you, is it working? It was Waltz's turn last night. Now he's no longer a Marxist from Minnesota. Now he's a coach. He's Coach Waltz. That's how he's being referred to now everywhere. He's a public school teacher. He's a hunter. He's a neighbor. He's your best friend. He's just an ordinary little teddy bear. Fuzzy, huggable little teddy bear. Are the American people going to buy this con job? Yes or no? What say you? David in West Roxbury. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome.
Hey, good morning, Jeff.
Hi.
Hey, Jeff, Tiananmen Tim wants to be known as Coach Tim now. And can you believe that guy has the nerve? He wants to be known as Coach Tim, and he wants J.D. Vance to be known as Coach Vance. So he's Coach Tim, and J.D. is Coach Vance. Okay? Yeah. So, yeah, Jeff, listen, you know, a few days ago, I heard that you sounded like you were resigned to you and Grace just having the two children, Asia and Ashton and Ava. But listen, I want to inform you that don't be surprised if your family grows, and it's not limited to Ashton and Ava, yes, the nurse. Yeah, I'm okay. I'm on the phone. Yeah, the nurse came. No, but listen to me
Hold on,
now.
David. Sorry, the nurse. Where are you calling from? A hospital or a healthcare clinic?
A hospital bed at the West Roxbury VA Hospital.
So I don't mean to laugh, but it's just. So I mean, is everything okay, David? Or I mean, is your health okay?
Yeah, I'm hoping to be discharged today.
Oh, he's in the VA hospital. Okay. Oh, David, yeah, go ahead. No, it's just funny that's, you so love the show that you're calling me from a hospital bed to weigh in. That's just, it's very nice of you. Please go ahead, David.
Well, Jeff, I'm not the only one that loves you so much, because I'm here to tell you, don't be surprised if your family grows. I mean, Ashton and Ava may have some more siblings, and I'll tell you why, Jeff. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's people out here in Kuhner country that love you and Grace in an artificial insemination way. Okay? So you better keep an eye on Grace's belly. Okay?
Oh, you mean like Coach Waltz with the IVF? In vitro fertilization? Maybe that's the way to go, David?
Tiananmen Tim, But, yeah. Hey, I was on hold last week, and I didn't get through, Jeff. But you can have fun with these names and everything. Now, here's one that Kuhner country might appreciate. Last week or whatever, or earlier in the week, at the end of last week, Pete Buttigieg came up. His name came up, and of course he's out there at the convention and everything. But people screw up his name, and everybody pronounces it in a different way. So this is the memory technique that I've used, so that I get Pete Buttigieg's name straight all the time. And I hope this helps Kuhner country if they forget how to pronounce Pete Buttigieg. I call him Pete Buddha Singamajig. Okay? Pete Buddha Singamajig. That's how they remember his name. It's Buttigieg. And if you forget the jig part, just think of Singamajig. And you know how, actually, there's more to this story. When he was a little child being potty trained, since his name was Peter, his potty trainer didn't want to refer to the thing between his legs as his Peter, and so they instead of training him to call it his Peter, to aim his Peter at the toilet, they said they referred to his Peter as his thingamajig.
David, please get well, my friend. I hear you're going to get discharged very soon. And thank you so much for calling, and take care of yourself. Okay, David, get out of that hospital quick. And thank you for your service, David. Poor guy's in a VA hospital in a bed, and he's still calling the Kuhner man. Arthur in Chestnut Hill. Thanks for holding, Arthur, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Arthur.
Well, I'll tell you something. This guy last night, this guy that's running for vice president, is such a disgrace. And the stolen valor part about the fact that he didn't go with his unit to harm's way in Iraq, that's the least of it. How would you like the leader of your military group, and it's really important, especially in a military unit, to have a strong leader that you can trust, be a guy who went to communist China over 30 times. I mean, that in itself tells you all you need to know about the guy that is leading you. And the fact that he didn't go to Iraq, one of the greatest heroes we've had in our history, and that's, back when we had a great military and a great generation fighting for our freedom, was Jimmy Doolittle, who went on that who led the suicide mission to bomb Tokyo shortly after we were hit at Pearl Harbor, knowing that they had very little chance of coming back. And he was one of a handful that did come back, even though they didn't want him to go on a raid, he still chose to go with his men. That's the kind of men we used to have in America. We don't have them anymore. And it's sad to see that that's the state of our country today. Donald Trump gave up his cushy life to run for office because he saw the way America was and where it was going, and gave it up to turn around and fight for us. But he's got to stop getting baited by the other side. That's why they're hurling all these insults, because he's shown in the past that he falls for it every single time. And this election, if we don't win this election, we will never win another election. And I'm wondering if we ever win anyway. Your guest is 100% right, and you know that most of my calls, especially the first call after he was elected, was to go and fight against voter fraud. While he had the power, that was an important time for him to go and try to do something about it. He's doing a lot about it now, but they're the ones with the power and the control. And without an honest press, they can get away with everything and anything. And the American people are powerless. Nobody on their side goes to jail or is held accountable. We have an incredible story now from the Congress that came out. Okay, they finally concluded, after all the investigations, that they now have all the evidence necessary to show that Joe Biden took over $30 million from mostly communist countries, and especially China, and you wouldn't even know that that's a story, unless you happen to, unless you watch Fox or you watch Newsmax, you wouldn't even know that's been proven. And the difference between the riots that you see out there, which are not pro-Palestinian, they're anti-U.S. and they're anti-Jewish, which is a disgrace, because this is a country where you're supposed to be able to go to to practice your faith, and now they've taken that away. And you know what the difference between that and 2000 January 6th is? On January 6th, you saw 1 million American flags. Everybody had an American flag. The only time you see an American flag today with these riots is when they're burning an American flag. And finally, I saw somebody. They interviewed a veteran in a coffee shop outside of Chicago, and when he was told that they were burning the American flag, this was a war veteran. I mean, his blood boiled. People don't respect the American flag anymore. That's the flag that they picked up in battle. But you know what else? You see the American flag more than anything is when they're draped over the bodies of guys who gave their lives for this country. And to allow that to be burnt, nothing incenses me more.
Oh, it's sacrilegious. I'm so with you. To me, it's political blasphemy. And, Arthur, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I saw the images of these pro-Hamas thugs. These are terrorists. That's what they are. They're anti-Semitic, anti-American, anti-Jewish terrorists. And they're rampaging on the streets of Chicago, and they're burning the American flag with their stupid keffiyehs, dressed like terrorists. And when I saw them burning the American flag, it makes my blood boil. And look, I'm sorry, but I think we have to revive an old phrase from the 1960s and 1970s. Love America or leave it. Very simple. Love it or leave it. If you hate it here that much, go. 820 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, you want to see how absurd the Democratic National Convention has become? they rolled out a lot of big guns. I mean, I'm talking Hollywood celebrities, music celebrities, musicians. They even rolled out, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey. And according to Oprah, she went out yesterday. She spoke, was given a very good speaking spot. And according to her, she says she's voting for Kamala Harris. Why is she voting for Kamala Harris? Quote, I have been on the receiving end of racism, sexism, and income inequality, quote unquote. So she's a victim. I'm not kidding. Oprah Winfrey says she's a victim of everything. Racism, sexism, income inequality, you name it. And we need Kamala to fix this. This is a woman who is worth $2.7 billion. $2.7 billion with a B. And you're a victim of oppression? I mean, seriously, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, you want to talk about a self-hating American. You want to talk about, you want to talk about privilege. You want to talk about, being completely disconnected from reality. And an ingrate. So you're worth $2.7 billion. You're one of the wealthiest women in the world. You're one of the wealthiest people in the world. And you hate your country that much? And she was right in tune with the theme of the entire convention. Hope and joy. It's a campaign. What that means, we don't know, but it's feel good. We all feel good about Kamala. And let's just forget about everything she's done. Let's forget who she is. It's all about feelings. Hope and joy. Roll cut 14. This is Oprah Winfrey. After complaining about being a victim of racism and sexism, says, it's okay. I'm feeling the joy. Are you feeling the joy? Roll cut 14, Mike.
Let us choose the sweet promise of tomorrow over the bitter return to yesterday. We won't go back. We won't be set back, pushed back, bullied back, kicked back. We're not going back. We're not going back. So, let us choose truth, let us choose honor, and let us choose joy. Because that's the best of America. But more than anything else, let us choose freedom. Why? Because that's the best of America. We're all Americans, and together, let's all choose Kamala Harris.
This woman's an idiot. I'm telling you, man, she's an idiot. Anyway, I never liked her. I never liked her show. I never liked what she peddled. But this is the convention. There's no substance, no policy. She's going on about truth. What truth? All you guys have been doing is lying for 3 nights and 3 days. And think about what they're pushing. Really. It's very simple. We want you to hate Donald Trump more than open borders. We want you to hate Donald Trump more than runaway inflation. We want you to hate Donald Trump more than the possibility of World War III and a nuclear war. We want you to hate Donald Trump more than the skyrocketing crime that's in our streets. We want you to hate Donald Trump more than the complete decline and erosion of the working and middle class in our country. I mean, I could go on and on. That's all. All they're offering is hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump. And when they say when they say freedom, what they really mean is just radical abortion. Abortion on demand, partial birth abortion, abortion even after the baby is born. Just abortion left, abortion right, abortion center. In fact, many of you may not know this. You want to see how despicable this convention is? Planned Parenthood has mobile trucks, little trucks, mini trucks, parked all around the convention site where they're giving women free abortions right there on the spot and vasectomies to men. By the way, apparently free. You don't have to pay for it. You just pop on in. You want to kill your baby? No problem. Apparently it's a medicated abortion. Now, at least they're not selling the body parts. I'll give them that much. Okay, they're not selling the actual babies, the bodies of the babies. But, so, you want an abortion? Plunk. No problem. You want to snip it? No problem. Come on in. We'll give you a vasectomy right here, right now. And according to, I'm just going by the press reports, they're full. They're full. It's just, there's a line. And I'm looking at these libs. I'm looking at these moonbats, and I'm like, so you love depopulation that much? So you'll have the abortion in the back of a truck? You're going to have a vasectomy in the back of the truck? These people are sick. They're sick. Now, give them another 4 years with this radical transgenderism, and I'm telling you, soon you can chop it off at the back of a truck. Really. To the girls out there, you want to lop those breasts? No, wait, want to chop off the breast? No problem. To the men, the little wee-wee, you want to chop it? Snip, snip, no problem. 33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, the voice of the resistance, baby. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, speaking of resistance, we are about 13 minutes away from having Jay Valentine on. It's must-listen-to radio. Trust me, he is one of the country's leading election fraud experts. He writes for The American Thinker. He has his own Substack column, which is widely read. Anyway, he is very concerned about already evidence that he has seen of a clear attempt by the Democrats to steal the 2024 election. He is going to break it all down for us. You have to listen to Jay Valentine. He'll be on in the next segment. So please don't go anywhere. Lines are jammed. I want to go right back to the phone lines very quickly. This is from Marianne on Messenger regarding Oprah Winfrey and so many others. I'm just quoting Oprah, but I could have used so many others. Whether it's Michelle Obama, if you remember her, going on about her father and her parents warning about people who take more than they need. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, I have never seen such hypocrites in my life. She has a $12 million mansion, her and Barack, in Martha's Vineyard, just in the vineyard alone. Oceanfront view, seaside mansion, $12 million mansion. 7 bedrooms, 8 bathrooms. And by the way, when illegals came to the vineyard, they were bussed out within 6 hours. So when it came to illegal aliens for them in the vineyard, out. You know, they didn't hand over their mansion to these illegals. No. They want them in your home and my home and in our communities and our neighborhoods, but not in their gated communities. The Obamas have an $8 million mansion in Washington. They've got a multi-million-dollar condo in New York. They've got a multi-million-dollar mansion in Chicago. They've got a huge estate in Hawaii. They've got their own private jet. When I say the woman shops, shops in Paris and then has dinner with her family in wherever, the Vineyard or Washington or New York or Hawaii. Seriously, she jet sets around the world, yet they're lecturing us on income inequality. They're lecturing us, going on about some people just have more than they need. Some people take more than they need. You phonies, you frauds, you. It's disgusting. Well, Oprah Winfrey's going on about, I was the victim of income inequality, racism, sexism. She's worth $2.7 billion. She's worth nearly $3 billion. And you're the victim? Here's what Marianne had to say. Good morning, Jeff. Isn't it funny how the wealthiest people in the world bitch about income inequality, but they are not the ones that are sharing their wealth, nor would they ever volunteer to do so. It's just like the ones that promote depopulation, abortion, and or birth control. Why are they never the ones to volunteer to depopulate themselves or abort their own children or push for their grandchildren to be aborted to set the example? The hypocrisy. This year's hypocrisy of the left is absolutely stunning. And stunning is all in caps with an exclamation point. Bingo, Marianne. You're a genius. Scott in Revere. Thanks for holding, Scott. And as always, welcome.
Jeff, I love you. Let's go away, my friend.
Thank you, Scott. What's on your mind, my buddy?
Oh, you don't know what's on my mind, isn't it? I'm telling you, I am beside myself. You know, Jeff, the answer to the question, is America really that stupid? You want to know what? I'm going to say yes. Between the pot freaking shelters all over the freaking place, the parties all over around the corners, I've never seen a bunch of idiots in my life like the United States. We are being watered down like oil and vinegar. Oil and water. Start that. Oil and water. As we, the water, we keep on getting, to the top, to the top, to the top. The oil is sinking and sinking, and it's getting worse and worse every single day. Because I'll tell you, hypocrisy, that is the word for the Democrat Party. They say one thing, and it's exactly the opposite of what they're doing. And the media just parrots everything they say. Listen, like you said, Coach Tim, right? I call him Coach Carmy. Coach Carmy Walsh. That's my new nickname for him. This is the type of rhetoric is what people hear here and there. I'm talking to people that look normal. But they swear to God, Jeff, the thoughts that come in, what are you thinking? I mean, how do you have mobile, but you're killing babies via mobile cars. Are you kidding? Mobile vans. Are you kidding? What kind of people do that?
Well, and Scott, you're completely right. But, as a man, I've got to ask you, I'm sorry, I don't mean to make you feel uncomfortable, but this is what they're doing at the Democratic National Convention. And it's a big hit. They can't service all the customers. Would you go to a mobile truck and have a vasectomy? Like on the spot? Like you show up at the convention, you go, what the hell? Honey, you know what? The hell with it. I'm tired of us using birth control. Let's go. I'm going to snip it. Let's go. I'm going to tie my tubes. Let's go. Would you, Scott, really, if you ever decided to get a vasectomy, which is fine, everybody, hey, honestly, man, do what you got to do. I mean, you don't want to, don't want to have any more children. You want to have a vasectomy? Go ahead. Please. I'm not making fun of vasectomies. What I'm making fun of is having them in the back of a freaking truck. Scott, would you ever have any medical procedure, never mind a vasectomy, would you ever have that in a mobile truck, in the back of a mobile truck, Scott?
In a million years would that even enter my head? Forget about doing it. It would never enter my head to do it in a mobile truck. But the one thing we can be grateful for, all them lines that you're hearing, thank God, hope to God that they can't reproduce no more. That's the best thing we got going.
Oh, Scott, drop the mic. I think it's the line of the show so far. Scott, thank you so much for that call. No, it's true. In a way, it's like, well, no, keep going. I didn't look at it that way. Jeff, they're depopulating themselves. they're not going to be able to reproduce. There's going to be less moonbats. You know what? On the other, can we sponsor a couple more of those mobile Planned Parenthood vans and trucks? Hell, I'll start driving them. You know, Coach Kuhner? Now call me Driver Kuhner. I'll just drive all around. Wherever Democrats are. You want to tie the tubes? Let me know. Abortions, vasectomies in the back. Go ahead. We got a special today. 25% off. Mark and Sharon. Thanks for holding, Mark, and welcome.
Yes, good morning. Hey, you should call your friend Jim Jordan and ask him to investigate the walls of China.
Oh, I like that. The waltz of China, Mark.
And the other thing is my Democrat friends are throwing this Project 25 up. Could you explain what that's all about? Is that a smokescreen?
It's a complete smokescreen. And thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. It's a 900-page document, a manual released by the Heritage Foundation. It's got some good ideas. It's got some crazy ideas. But it has nothing to do with Donald Trump. This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen in my life. In fact, he's openly disavowed Project 2025. He's disavowed the author, the primary author of 2025, who, by the way, ended up getting fired from the Heritage Foundation. And he disagrees with much of what's in Project 2025. And yet they just keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. And the reason why is, if you look at Trump's actual agenda, all of his policies that he lays out, they can't refute it. So, smoke and mirrors. 8:50 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. 617-266-6868. Okay, lines are jammed. But before we go back to our phone lines, it is my true honor and privilege to now be joined by, Jay Valentine. He is one of the country's leading election fraud experts. In fact, you can read his work on Substack and on American Thinker. And he has a warning now for President Trump and for all of us MAGA supporters that if the election was held today, Jay Valentine now believes that every swing state has 500,000 to 1.4 million illegitimate voters on the rolls. He says he can prove it. I believe him. And that Trump will lose the election, or to be more accurate, that the Democrats will steal the election from Trump. Jay, thank you so much for coming on the Kuhner Report. I've been reading your stuff now for a while, and you've been very, very accurate so far. So please, if you could just tell the great audience of Kuhner Country, why are you now convinced that the steal is on? And why do you believe that the Democrats are now on a path to steal it from Trump again?
Well, good morning. Well, the reason is that we are data guys. So we're the guys who built the eBay fraud engine. We built the TSA no-fly list. So we're data guys. We follow the voter rolls for 26 states, in particular all the swing states. And what we see in the swing states is in every one of them, there are at least 500,000, in Pennsylvania 1.4 million, people who are registered to vote from a Walmart, from a gas station, from a convenience store, from a coffee shop, a place that has no bedrooms. And these people are essentially phantom people. They're really not people who exist. They are ballot collection points. And in 2024, the left is going to collaborate with the U.S. Postal Service, and we have evidence of that they did the same thing in 2020. They're going to collaborate with the Postal Service. They're going to collect these undeliverable ballots, and they're going to vote them against Trump.
Jay, this is it's a bombshell. And I know you have a lot of data to prove this and back it up. And obviously, I'm going to give people the website to go to where they can read all of this information. But I guess the first question I have is the Trump team aware of this? I mean, they know of your work. I know that for sure. And are they doing anything to try to prevent this from happening?
No, actually, it's the opposite. So what the RNC is doing and what the Trump campaign is doing is they have hired 157,000 people who are volunteers and hired hands, and they are using them as poll watchers in 2024. So those people are going to be standing at the polls making sure that these ballots that are coming from illegal locations are properly counted. They're doing the opposite of what they should be doing. And the reason that they're not focused on this is they are so freaked out by all of the crazy stuff that people like Mike Lindell and other people said that they are put off by anything that has to do with election integrity. And some of their key people, the campaign managers for Trump, they think that Trump actually did not have the election stolen in 2020. So they're blind to this. They're willingly blind to this.
Jay, I don't want to get into too much inside baseball, but I think I know where you're going with this, and I want my audience to be aware. You're talking about his two co-campaign managers, Chris Lascivita, or Lascivita, however you pronounce his last name, and Susan Wiles, correct? You're saying those are the two that don't believe 2020 was stolen and are embarrassed of people like Mike Lindell, correct?
That's correct.
Incredible.
And we know that because people call us all the time, and some of the people are very wealthy entrepreneurs and business people who have direct access to the campaign. And so one of them came to us just the other day, and this happens often, but most recent one was literally 48 hours ago, and said, look, we were told not to push anything to do with voter integrity with the campaign because Lascivita and Susie Wiles think that the election in 2020 wasn't stolen, that all this stuff is a conspiracy theory. Now, a lot of the Lindell stuff is crazy. We certainly agree with that. We're data guys, and we think a lot of those things were nonsense. But a lot of it was true. And what we talk about in the voter rolls is something that we demonstrate. We don't just talk about it. We run live videos on our website, Omega, 4 America. So if you go to our website, you're going to see video after video after video of various states, Minnesota, Georgia, Texas, all of these different states where we show live their voter rolls. And in Georgia, we show in the 2020 election, 2,000-something people who voted and had their vote counted, and they're not on the voter roll. And we show you live with official Georgia data.
Jay, how are they getting away? You mentioned, for example, Pennsylvania, which is going to be a crucial battleground state. People register to vote at convenience stores, at gas stations, these phantom voters. How are they getting away with this, Jay?
Well, it's been impossible to see. So for 40 years, everyone used a technology called relational technology. Well, we don't use that. We use quantum technology. But with relational technology, when you look at a voter roll, it says that Phineas is at 123 Main Street. Well, you have no way of knowing whether that's a house or a gas station. What we do is we ingest the property tax rolls, which are the official government tax rolls that describe the building. And we compare the property tax rolls with the voter rolls. And now we see that Phineas lives at 123 Main Street, and 123 Main Street's a Manchurian restaurant with a picture of it from Google Maps, and there's no bedroom anywhere near it. And when we do that in the various swing states, the numbers go over 500,000 such people in every state.
Incredible. Incredible. Jay, I've got to ask, obviously, the obvious question. Are the Democrats using illegals and putting their names as phantom voters? Is that how the game is played?
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason that illegals are really the best kind of phantom voter is because they don't stick around. So what we have evidence of is the illegals are flown into Minnesota, for instance, or Michigan. They get off the plane, these NGOs, non-governmental organizations like Catholic and Lutheran Charities, meet them, give them debit cards, and they register them to vote. Now, they know those people aren't going to vote because they're going to split. I mean, they aren't going to stay up in a cold climate like that. They're going to come down here to Texas or go to Arizona over the course of 6 months, and they do. But what these NGOs have is that now they have all of these ballots being shipped to some location or a bunch of locations. They pick up those ballots, and they vote those ballots. So when people say, well, illegals are going to vote in the 2024 election, they're not going to vote that much. It's more NGOs using what we call ballot mills, where they collect ballots and they vote for them.
Incredible. Jay, you're saying minimum 500,000 in most of these states, some as high as 1.4 million. If these numbers hold up, is Trump going to lose? I mean, I know he'll win in a free and fair election, but if these phantom voters kick in, which they will, Trump says we have to swamp the polls. Can we swamp the polls, or is this just too high of a hurdle?
Oh, it's way too high. So let's just take a number. Let's take Wisconsin, for instance. So Wisconsin will be won or lost by 25,000 votes. That's what happened in 2020. That's what happened in the previous year, in 2016. If you have 500,000 loose ballots out there, you're going to make up 22,000 votes 20 times over. So the ability to swamp the fraud, the ability to outrun this stuff is simply mathematically, it's not even close to being there. You cannot outregister people when you're looking at 500,000. You can't do anything in terms of slowing that down. Trump could win every one of the swing states by 1 or 2%, and 1 or 2% is like 60,000 votes. So you got plenty to make up to be able to take the election away from President Trump.
Jay, what state or states do you see as the worst offenders? I mean, 500,000 is grotesque. Please don't get me wrong. But where you say, Jeff, it's really bad.
Well, the worst states that we follow are Georgia is probably number one.
Wow.
In Georgia, you have actually 30,000 Georgia voters with multiple voter IDs given to them legally by the government. That's like having multiple Social Security numbers. That's how bad it is. In Pennsylvania, is terrible voter rolls in Pennsylvania. Michigan not only has really bad voter rolls, but in addition, the government has passed all kinds of laws that make even the investigation of fraud something that's almost impossible now. So all of the swing states are really bad. The worst by far will be Georgia and Pennsylvania.
We're talking with Jay Valentine. He's one of the country's leading election fraud, voter fraud experts. You can read his incredible work on American Thinker. It's one of my favorite sites. Also on Substack. He has his own column on Substack. Also, check out his website. It's must visit, omega4america.com. That's OMEGA, the number 4, America.com. Jay, I've got to ask you ultimately, the question that's on everybody's mind. If this is not stopped, and I'm going to ask you soon how we stop it if we can, but if it's not stopped soon, is this election going to be stolen? Is this thing over for Trump?
Well, if I had to bet right now on whether this election will be stolen or not, and I was told that I absolutely must bet, I would bet that this election is going to be stolen. It's going to be stolen in the 7 swing states. We know which states they are. It's going to be stolen within 15 counties in those states. We know which counties they are. And we actually can show you the individual addresses at which it's going to be stolen.
Wow. Is there anything that can be done at this late hour to expose this and prevent it?
Yes. The one thing that we are working with a number of large contributors on is this. We know where each one of these addresses is. So what we're doing in a number of states, in particular in Wisconsin and Colorado, is we are challenging a ballot going to a person at an illegitimate address. So we're not taking anybody off the voter roll. We're not saying that Phineas should not vote. We are not disenfranchising anybody. What we are saying is that Phineas, who lives at a Walmart, should not get a mail-in ballot because obviously it's not going to go to him. Now, this proved very successful in 2022 when we did it in Wisconsin, and it made the difference in Senator Ron Johnson winning in 2022 when very few other people did. So we are running a system like this in all of the swing states, or we're trying to, in all of the swing states and in Colorado. And what we are doing is stopping mail-in ballots from getting into the system. Now, if the guy wants to actually show up and vote in person, he can. But he won't because he doesn't exist. But if we can keep the ballots out of the system by showing the registrar that this is an illegal address at which for you to send a ballot to, which is something we know how to do, we can actually stop this.
Jay, is there anything that the audience, because my audience is not just very big, obviously, they're very active, they want to get involved, they're very worried about the future of our country. Is there anything that they can do to help you in this effort?
Well, the most important thing that everybody can do is to really follow what we are doing, because we're going to be out raising money with a give, go, send me type of a thing in a week or two. And follow us on our Substack, omega4america.substack. Follow us on Substack, and we're going to be showing things that people can do in every one of the swing states.
Omega4america.substack, OMEGA, the number 4, America.substack. Jay, you've been very generous with your time. If I can just get a few more minutes. The question, I guess, then is, if it's really mail-in balloting, that's the key to all of this. When they had the lockdowns and COVID and introduced universal mail-in balloting, that's really the grease that makes this fraud go everywhere, correct?
That's correct. If you take a look at the amount of fraud that exists on ballot rolls where a guy shows up to vote and votes twice, that is so minuscule an amount of fraud that it just doesn't happen. The overwhelming amount of fraud is not people jacking with voting machines, and it's not people doing things on the internet, and it's not algorithms or any of that stuff. It is mail-in ballots sent to legally ineligible addresses like a Walmart, a convenience store, a Sam's, which are collected by either the Postal Service or by NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and then they are voted for leftist candidates. That is 95% of the problem.
Jay, last question. Are there any prominent Republicans, or are there any people close to President Trump who are aware of everything that you're exposing and are trying to help you?
Well, yes, we are working with a number of Trump's largest contributors who are very aware of the problem. They're very concerned that the campaign is not taken seriously. They're making very large investments in the campaign, and we're pretty far along in conversations with some of these folks to fund the work that we're talking about in all 7 of the swing states. So, yes, there definitely is a growing understanding of this by the large donor class.
Jay, you've been very generous with your time. I really appreciate it. Keep up the outstanding, incredible work. Go support Jay Valentine. I'm urging all of you, Kuhner Country, go to Omega, the number 4, Omega4America.substack. Also check out their website, Omega, the number 4, America.com. Jay Valentine, thank you so much, Jay. Jay, I want you on again in the future. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, we love you guys. We love Boston.
All right. Take care, Jay. I appreciate it. 617-266-6868. I love the way he says, we love Boston. Like, hey, like Chicago. You guys led the way on this stuff. On voter fraud. You taught everybody how to do it. Okay. Quick reset, and I want to go right back to the phone lines. Did I tell you that Jay Valentine was going to blow your mind? Huh? So anyway, it's don't tell me that the Democrats aren't trying to steal it. Don't tell me there's not irrefutable evidence of voter fraud. Don't tell me that the elections in this country are free and fair, because they're not. And the evidence is irrefutable. It is overwhelming. So let me ask all of you, what did you make of the interview with Jay Valentine? Number 1. Number 2, Jay now is sounding the alarm bell, saying that there are phantom votes out there, phantom voters who are being registered at convenience stores, at Walmarts, at restaurants, at gas stations, clearly places where people don't live. And then these non-governmental organizations, by the way, usually paid for by George Soros or Bill Gates or they're tied to the Democratic Party. These people or Mark Zuckerberg, then they collect these phantom ballots. And of course, it's all Harris, or in 2020, remember Wisconsin and Michigan? How Trump was ahead? And then in the middle of the night, just out of the blue, 150,000, 250,000 votes just poured in, right? And it was just, and all the ballots, all they just did was check the Biden box. None of the down ballot races. It was just Biden over Trump. Just check. And then boom, they come in all at once. That's how they do it. That's exactly the system. That's their fraud network. That's the process. And Jay Valentine has got him. He's got him dead to rights. And we've got to prevent mail-in balloting. That's the key, especially in the battleground states. And look, I want Chris LaCivita gone. I want Susan Wiles gone. Those are the two co-campaign managers. I've been saying this for a while. I'm hoping that by hiring Corey Lewandowski, that Trump is beginning now to clean house. And I'm going to get this information to Corey, I guarantee you. But Kuhner Country, we're going to post this interview up on podcast. Please send it to everybody. And let's do what we can to challenge mail-in ballots in all of those critical battleground states. Now you know why they don't want voter ID. Now you know why they don't want same-day in-person voting and or paper ballots. Now you know why they love this mail-in balloting system. Because the opportunities to cheat are almost endless. So, my question to you, what did you make of Jay Valentine's bombshell revelations? And what do you think now about Jay's warning that if this is not stopped now, they are on the path to stealing the election? Agree, disagree, all of your calls, I promise. Jay Valentine now says Trump will lose every single battleground state because he can't make up 500,000 to 1.4 million phantom votes, especially like in Pennsylvania and Georgia, which he says are the most egregious offenders. It doesn't matter how good his message is. No matter how good a campaign he runs. This is a level of voter fraud that is just too big to overcome. Do you agree? I'm going to take all of your calls on the other side. Don't touch that dial. 919 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's Bulldozer. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay, very, very quickly. Jay Valentine, one of the country's leading election fraud, voter fraud experts, now says that in over 25 states, but in particular, the key 7 battleground states, the Democrats now have put together a voter fraud network in which, at a minimum, 500,000 phantom voters exist. In some states like Pennsylvania, it's 1.4 million. These are voters who claim addresses, as he said, convenience stores, gas stations, Walmarts, restaurants. In other words, there's no bedroom. There's nobody living there. And they get a ballot. The ballot is collected by an NGO tied to the Democratic Party, usually funded by a Mark Zuckerberg or George Soros or Bill Gates or whoever. And then they just start, if they need to manufacture ballots, they've got more than enough to win Michigan, to win Wisconsin, to win Georgia, to win Pennsylvania, to win Arizona, to win Nevada. Jay Valentine now says, unless this is stopped and stopped very soon, Trump is going to lose. To be more accurate, the Dems will steal it again. Agree, disagree? Gino in New York. Thanks for holding, Gino, and welcome.
Don from the little Italy of Canada. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Gino? Gino, can you please get off speaker because we can hardly hear you? Gino, do we have you?
How's that better?
Yeah, all loud and clear. All right, go ahead, Gino.
All right, Jeff. My point was we got to stop with the silly nicknames and trying to name these guys something. We have to call the party out for what they are. They're communists, and I'll say that to my friends, and I'll say defend it. Tell me how they're not. Like, I don't give them little cute nicknames anymore. I'm just tired of trying to brand these people when they are straight up communists. And they come from communist parties. They come from communist parents, Marxist parents, and they want to ruin our country. So, like I said, I'm just trying to change the lexicon and not even go with what all these little silly sideshows are. They're straight up communists, and they're trying to ruin our country.
Gino, so basically I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I understand. Call them communists. I agree with you. So you're saying, really, look, if you're going to call Kamala anything, call her Communist Kamala or Commie Kamala or Comrade Kamala. Mm-hmm. And Tim Walz, call him either Communist Tim or call him Tiananmen Tim. Because he's tied to China. He's tied to Beijing, correct?
Yes, and their examples are probably hundredfold of what they say and do are straight up out of the Communist Marxist handbook. So there's really no reason to give them Tampon Tim or Goofball Kamala, anything. They're straight up communists trying to ruin our country and take my freedom and take my money.
Gino, I've got to ask you, and I can't believe I'm asking, a proud American. I know you're an Italian American, but you're a proud American.
American all the way.
I understand. And I'm the same, believe me. But, a proud American like you, that I have to ask you this question, but this is where we are. Can you believe that we now have a vice presidential nominee who openly went to communist China over 30 times, taught there for a year, came back and openly bragged how communism is the best system on the face of the earth, and that Mao, the greatest mass murderer ever in human history, 60 million, many of them systematically starved to death, should be the model for the United States and the world. A man whose private jets are paid for by communist China, much of his money comes from communist China, who Beijing openly claims as one of their own, who went and honeymooned in communist China. And this was after Tiananmen Square, Gino. I mean, he's an agent of China. Now, we know Biden was the same, but they hid it, right? They had this, Biden crime family and like the way the mob works. And they had middlemen and cutouts and, people taking money and then in different accounts and spreading it around and funneling it here and funneling it there. No, this is out in the open. I love communist China. I love Beijing. Beijing loves me. And he's going to be a heartbeat away from the presidency. What say you?
Well, the biggest problem, Jeff, is the only way you hear about these facts are listening to these conservative talk shows, and there's just not enough of them on TV and the radio to let the message get out. It's really sad that if you listen to any CNN, anything besides Fox or you, or say David or Dan Bongino, those stories are brushed aside. They're just little visits. They're just little trips. They're just little, vignettes in his life. Not the true story that he loves Mao. I mean, that guy who came out and said he was a Maoist, his buddy. I mean, it's written down, but it's not out there for people to know.
Gino, thank you so much for that call. And that's why I always say this, best audience in the business. And again, I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. I thank every single one of you every day for listening to this show and for supporting this show. Because I'm being very honest with all of you, okay? Like I'm in the confessional. If I didn't have the kind of massive support and massive ratings, I would have been off the air a long, long time ago. So the only way we're able to get the truth out is really because of you. So thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Cassandra, North Carolina, can you hang on? I'm up against a heartbreak. I'm going to go to you, I promise, right after this. So we're going to go to Cassandra in North Carolina. I'm going to take all of your calls, I promise. So you've heard Jay Valentine. He is sounding a 5-alarm fire. He says now they got so many phantom votes. Trump is not aware of this. He's being misled by his co-campaign managers. He's completely right. Chris LaCivita and Susie Wiles. She goes by Susie, but Susan Wiles, who say there's no voter fraud and the steal is on. Your call's reaction next. 9:33 on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, liberalism's worst nightmare. 617-266-6868 is the number. Okay. Do you fear that Jay Valentine is correct? We had him on, exclusive newsmaker interview. One of the country's leading voting fraud, election fraud experts. Do you fear that the Democrats will steal the election in November? He says they are now clearly on their way to doing it, especially in the key 7 battleground states, and that Trump right now is not aware of what's happening, at least this particular strategy that they're implementing. And if they don't prevent it soon, no matter how well of a campaign he runs, no matter how well he performs in the debates, it all will mean nothing. Do you agree? Cassandra in North Carolina. Thanks for holding, Cassandra, and welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you. I do believe this gentleman 100%, because I've always wondered, why is the state of Massachusetts is always a Democrat winning, which is there is a lot of Republican in this state. In 2020, I watched this with my own eyes, where the machine was being broken every 5 minutes. Someone went in and put their ballots. They asked you, can I write you in? And I said, no, I'm not. I have to have the joy of putting in my own ballot in the machine. So I waited 20 minutes for them to fix that machine on Oak Street in Brockton, where I live in Massachusetts. So I could not believe that will happen again. You know why? You know how Biden had the three nations to come in this country with a visa was Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Haiti. There is more than 35,000 people he allowed in this year from 2023 to 2024. Over 200,000 migrants came in from the Haitian side in the state of Massachusetts. How they signed them in already. They're already voters. They are already voters. So that's how they're going to steal it. Like this gentleman, if he doesn't try to find a way to meet with President Trump, we are done for. The migrants from the border, the one that's coming through the visas, are already in as voters. Already sure and done. And President Trump should have a commercial as an offense for Bill Clinton, having a commercial on Haiti and what he did in the White House. He's got the nerve to go in last night and attack Trump. Really? Look at Haiti. The men, they just sanctioned one of the presidents in Haiti, the one before the one they killed, for drug trafficking to the U.S. That just happened yesterday. Big news. The FBI is investigating him right now. They sanctioned all his assets, which is millions of dollars. Him and his brother-in-law, big drug dealers. And who put them in power? It was the Clinton that put him in power in Haiti before they killed the other one. So now,
Cassandra, you're talking about Jean-Bertrand Aristide, correct?
No, the one after him.
The one after Aristide. I got you. Okay.
Yeah, Michel Martelly. That just happened yesterday. Look the news. Michel Martelly was put by the Clinton. I cannot believe it that he's got the nerve to trash Trump. Really? Look at Haiti. It's because of him. Haiti's like that. So Trump should have a commercial on Haiti. Everything they touch is turned to dust. And they know what they've done.
Well, Cassandra, I'm sure you know better than I do and most people in the audience. But, the Clintons raped Haiti. I mean, financially, economically, when they had that devastating disaster and there was all these, poor orphan children. And the Clintons said, yeah, send us money and we'll take care of these orphan children. And they literally stole millions and millions of dollars of money that was intended for children who lost their parents. I don't know how these people sleep at night. And yet this guy has the gall to stand there and go on against President Trump, Bill Clinton. I mean, it's beyond disgusting. It really is. Cassandra, final word to you.
Yes, the new prime minister was put in power. They just put him about 6 months. He's been in power, put in place by the Clinton because he was working in the Clinton Foundation in the U.S. The guy has no clue what he can do because he can't do anything unless they tell him what to do. So right now, Haiti is upside down, knowing that the money that all these millions of dollars are flowing out of Haiti, okay, blanching monies, okay, through drugs to the U.S. So President Trump, you have a leverage. Haiti is one of your keys to get all the Haitian votes, come out with a commercial and put it all out. It's all out on YouTube for people to see what's going on in Haiti right now.
Amen.
Have a blessed day.
Amen. Thank you so much, Cassandra. David in Attleboro. Thanks for holding, David, and welcome. Hi, David.
Hi. So I think it could be basically done this way. Joe Biden came out with a video of him saying how him and Barack Hussein came up with the biggest voter scheme ever. It's on video. It's on his actual mouth saying it. And Trump just needs to play that over and over and over again.
Well, I agree. I mean, in fact, the term that he used was the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in American politics. So he admitted it. And that was with David Plouffe, who had his own podcast. There was a couple of these former Obama advisors. And it was about like 10 days before the 2020 election. We played it dozens of times. And they were glowing. They were laughing. They were joking. They thought it was funny. Like it was like an inside joke. And Biden was like, don't worry. We got this election in the bag. What are you guys worried about? And look, what Trump has to do is, he's got to be made aware now of these phantom voters. And he's got to pound the bully pulpit the way only he can. And say exactly what, because Valentine, look, just go to his website. He's got all the evidence. It's all there. The names attached to the buildings, to the addresses. And then you see the pictures. You know, he uses 123 Main Street as an example, but, you know, you go 123 Main Street and you're like, well, it's a gas station. It's a Sunoco. How the hell can somebody be registered to vote in a Sunoco? And they go, you know, look at the business. There's no bed. There's no way somebody's registered there. Look, this is a Walmart. This is a Target. Who the hell, you know, who lives in a Target? Who lives in a Walmart? So, and you know, they got multiple people saying that they live there. And they're all getting mail-in ballots. Well, guess what? And it's this NGO that collects all of these ballots. So and notice the scam. Bring in illegals, claim that they live in these phantom residences, and then they send them off somewhere else. So I'll bet you dollars to donuts, David, I'll bet you the best steak at the post-1917 steakhouse, okay, which is one of the best steakhouses in the Boston area, that they've got these illegals. I bet they've got them registered in multiple states. Multiple. I guarantee it. They got them in Michigan. They got them in Georgia. They got them in Wisconsin. And then maybe they live in Florida and Texas because they do like warmer weather. And they got them registered down there. So what Trump's got to do is he's got to come out and bang that bully pulpit and say, no, this is the problem. Mail-in ballots. Who the hell are the ballots going to? Why are they being registered to vote? And why you have this ballot harvesting, ballot trafficking, where NGOs get the ballots and they vote on behalf of the illegals? Because the illegals are already gone. And that's why they always have this smug look. If you've noticed, David, this canary that swallowed the cat look. Or sorry, the cat that swallowed the canary. Forgive me. The cat that swallowed the canary look. Which is, hey, if we need 200, 300, 400,000 votes in Georgia or Wisconsin or Pennsylvania or Michigan or in the dead of night, we can manufacture them at will because there's phantom votes, phantom ballots. This the whole country needs to hear. And if that happens, we got a chance. David, thank you very much for that call. Okay, a couple lines are open. I want to ask you, do you believe that the election will be stolen in November? Are you afraid? And is it time to end mail-in balloting? I say hell yes. What say you? All of your calls next. Oh, you better believe it. I'm going to do everything in my power to get all of this information out to President Trump, his family, his team. There is a Praetorian Guard now that they have put around him. Again, it goes back to Chris Lasavita, Susie Wiles. There are several others, but those are the two big culprits who they keep going on that fraud is a fiction and that Biden legitimately won the election in 2020, that there is no voter fraud, there is no election corruption, there's not a problem with the mail-in voting system. And by the way, 9:50 now on the great WRKO, the Kuhner man here, Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer. Every time you've had mail-in balloting, France tried it, for example, in the 1970s. This is exactly what happened. You had phantom voters, phantom ballots, massive corruption. Don't even take my word for it. There is a huge MIT study, okay, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, which documents how mail-in balloting is the most successful form of voter fraud. And that wherever it's been tried, it's led exactly to what we're experiencing here in the United States. Exactly. So this is very predictable. We predicted it in 2020. We witnessed it in 2020. And now we're seeing it again. Isaac in Boston. Thanks for holding, Isaac, and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, thank you for taking my call.
My pleasure.
I just wanted to make two things. I said it a while back to a bunch of my friends, even people that are on our side, about the swing states, that they're feeling confident about, Trump winning. And I've been telling them to, don't put your eggs in one basket just yet, because I feel like that they are going to try to rig it with the mail-in ballots. And then second, I just wanted to say about the vasectomy thing. If it's not about population control, why have a man even say not have kids at all? I get it. Sometimes, if you want to make the argument for abortion, that, if a woman chooses her own body, maybe she could still have a kid again after that. And even a man. So you're basically just blocking a man. And if it's free, they have to pay to have it reversed. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. I appreciate it. No, look, I don't want to get personal. I've never had a vasectomy. Don't get me wrong, but members in my family, okay, I don't want to get into it, but I've had a few uncles who had a vasectomy. That's fine. Hey, that's your business, really, honestly. To me, that's not the issue. You do it at a Planned Parenthood mobile truck. These little mini trucks. Apparently some of them are painted in pink. Outside of a convention center? Come on, are you serious? That to me is the issue. I'm sorry, it's disgusting. Any medical procedure, never mind a vasectomy or an abortion. And they're just coming in one after another. By the way, aren't there medical regulations? Aren't you supposed to have a sterile, clean environment to perform these kind of procedures? And these are the same people that rail about back alley abortions. Steve in Sturbridge. Thanks for holding, Steve, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Yeah,
Hi.
Good show today.
Thank you, Steve.
I agree with you with Jay Valentine, because I heard that a few times, that in Texas, Catholic Charities was banking them and everything else. I think, to be honest with you, yes, we definitely got to get it out to Trump. Another thing we got to do is everybody's got to call Catholic Charities and blow it and call the bishops and all the stuff in all the states and say, cut this out. We're not supposed to be doing illegal stuff. It's against religion. Why are we doing this stuff and getting involved in this? And the other thing was, I'm scared with Waltz only for one reason. I'm afraid that she gets in. she'll say to Waltz, "You can run the show," and she'll just sit there cackling, and Waltz will be bringing in all his Mao and all this other stuff. If he could take paintballs and shoot them at people, he'll love to have tanks running over people.
Oh, no question. Oh, no question. And Steve, just to back it up a little bit, because you're right on every single point. Catholic Charities, here, this story just broke. Please don't take my word for it. They've now been caught. They've taken $800 million. $800 million. It's almost $1 billion to help take care and resettle illegal aliens across the entire country. And you're right. That's where many of them are now getting registered to vote in these phantom voters and these phantom ballots. So the question now, the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, to me, that's the question I'd ask them. Why are you perpetuating voter fraud? Why are you helping engage, you want to talk about anti-democratic behavior, illegal, unconstitutional anti-democratic behavior? It's wrong on every level. Steve, thank you for that call. Lorenzo in Plymouth. Lorenzo, I hate to do this to you. I've got 1 minute left. The floor is yours. Go.
Yeah, I follow Jay Valentine since 2016. He's awesome. What he left out though was Chris and Susie are tied to Fox News. Okay, they're dirty. And here's the other thing, Jeff. You have to expose the governors, secretary of state, attorney generals, lieutenant governors, mayors.
Lorenzo, I promise we're going to come back to this, okay? Call back. I'm going to get you back on because I want you to finish what you're saying. But you're right. Mayors have to get involved. State attorneys general, they have to get involved. Secretaries of state, all of us. Because the steal is on and we've got to stop it. Bye-bye.